It's your man B Scarb, aka real name no Gimmicks, and we coming to you live from Shoptalk Podcast Studios. Shout out my brothers Jay and Dame. Thank you for having us again. And this is another 2021 wrap-up special edition. We're rebranding the Underground Hip Hop Awards. And so this is going to be an exclusive edition. We're going to talk all things award show, Detroit hip hop in general, and beyond. And I'm going to start going around to my left, so I'll let my co-host introduce herself.
What's up, everybody? This P-Dot. This gang time. What's going on? About to be in the building. Let's get it.
What's going on is AJ, half of the Connected Experience podcast. I'm representing the whole crew today, though. And, of course, you know, the collegeofhiphop.org.
What up, though? It's your man's Uncle P, DetroitRap.com. Good to be seen and not viewed.
What's going on, DJ Hen House, president of the Next Level DJs.
What up, though? It's your man Jay Johnson, one half of Shoptalk Podcast, one half of This Week in Culture. What's poppin'?
What up, though? It's your man Dame, 3_313, the other half of Shoptalk Podcast. What's good?
Rob Wallace, Zero Noise Podcast, Project Plug-in, Amplify Fellowship.
So today, man, we called this enclave together to do, like I said, another wrap-up edition. For those that might have tuned in last year, which current footage is out on YouTube. We talked about pretty much things that was going on in the pandemic musically and how everyone was able to navigate the pandemic and get themselves further in their agenda and what they were trying to do musically for their outfits and different campaigns. So today we got a great amount of topics, and one of the first topics that I wanted to put to the table, as far as in 2021, we saw Detroit flourish even more than they did last year in terms of being one of the new markets in the ecosystem in hip hop, and also the Versus impact for the second year. And so we all shared our thoughts last year as it related to the origin of Versus coming out. And then initially with shout out to Say Cheese Digital, they had us listed last year as an emerging market. So we're no longer emerging now. Right. So just giving those two things, any thoughts from anybody about the Versus impact for the second year, as well as Detroit officially being on the map now?
So with Detroit officially being on the map, it's actually going in a direction and a trajectory that we all probably have been wanting it to be for the last 20 years. And I feel like at this opportunity and this time and the space that we in, we there. Like the top of the top is in Detroit. Now the only thing I see where we still get overlooked is in markets like say a Memphis or Atlanta. They have at least those two markets have a powerhouse label, right? That's from that market. So CMG is from that market, but arguably they second biggest artist, only second to the label head, is from Detroit. Same thing with like Atlanta, QC, powerhouse label. That market has a powerhouse label. So I still think right now we're still trying to find our footing with a powerhouse label. And once we get that powerhouse label, and what I mean by powerhouse is undeniable, not like, oh, my homeboy got a label, they doing it. No, I'm talking about on the map, powerhouse label, Detroit's and Inkster and Ipsy and Romulus and Pontiac and all of these places getting fed through this label, and we own the map as a powerhouse. That's when I say like we really there. That's the only thing I feel like at this point that we missing. But as far as the artists running the game, hands down, because everywhere sound like Detroit. When you hear the rappers in LA talking about they listening to Peasy, when you hear the rappers in New York talking about, oh, Detroit, I love what they doing, that's what we wanted. But so now this year, going into this year, we have to establish a powerhouse label to really be considered the market that we know we capable of.
From where I sit, I would agree with both of you, and I would also say that the city itself has emerged quite a bit over the past 30 years. And I could say just last week I sat in on a panel with probably a room full of maybe 40, 45 artists. And I have to say for the first time in probably 10 or 15 years, 96% of those artists had decent or quality music. And for me as a DJ being in the city, I remember a time we had that many records that were good. So to be in that room and see all this young talent, and I'm talking about quality records, like I was really blown away. I was sitting there like I couldn't believe what I was hearing because it was one after another after another. So in that in that space, I'll say yes, the city has emerged. I would agree with the point that we do need a label here, a strong, significant label in the city. I was really hoping that, there was talks that Motown was going to bring a satellite office here, which would have been really big for the city, especially at that particular time when they had signed ASIR Consulting. For whatever reason, that fell through. There have been some other labels in the city who have somewhat, if you will, touched a little bit of the national side of it. I mean, we can't discredit BMB. They have created a little juggernaut of their own. I got to be honest with them. Grammy Award winning producers, all of that. So, you have to start asking yourself, what are we really talking about when we say that major label? But I agree that we don't have that one label that's here that everybody's like, whoa, because why don't we? That's the main question. It's the city of Detroit. Why wouldn't we have that?
Who's close?
I mean, with BMB would have to be the closest. But
Yeah,
being totally biased with them being from Detroit, like how you mentioned them being a Grammy-winning label or having Grammy-winning producers. When I say label, I mean like everybody
Roster,
know this
all that.
is
Yeah.
this label.
Yeah.
So BMB would be the closest, but they at this point with what's going on in Detroit, because they was early in it too. But at this point, what's going on in Detroit, they don't even have an artist that we can say is up there with the main artist right now. So if they did, we could say that they have name recognition and the most potential to be that label. But right now is the time where it has to be an artist out there, hands down. This is BMB. When he get through the door, here comes somebody else. That's BMB. Even if he doing deals like okay, you already moving, come here. So when you out there, they still see BMB, because that's what he was doing early too, if I'm not mistaken.
That's exactly
but right now, it got to be somebody moving with whatever label flag, and where we can say that's from Detroit. That's Detroit. When you see this label, that's Detroit.
So
Just one thing to the table. They wasn't a label per se, but they were a collective, and technically, I guess, still are. But with ASIR Vezo, Babyface Ray, GT, Peasy, at one point was Team Eastside.
Yeah.
And they all are doing extremely well, and they all still feature one another, do visuals with one another. But clearly, ASIR Vezo has Ice Club Records, Peasy has Ghetto Boys Entertainment. But that's just an example of what I'm saying, that they could come together more formally, but it's probably reasons that we all don't know of as outsiders. And just looking at history, that's what Detroit artists tend to do, and Detroit CEOs tend to do, is maybe partner strategically, but still keep their own separation.
Absolutely.
Because that's kind of like in our DNA as far as the boss-up culture here.
like, who's the parent company funding all these labels that we talking about? Because that's who they're really trying to get to.
Right.
So all these artists got their own label. Yes, I would love to be with Insert, but like, I want the Atlantic bag. You know what I'm saying? So this Insert record label, but I'm really funded by Atlantic, or I'm really funded by Universal, or such and such.
Speaking from an artist perspective, majority of the time we are pushed to kind of like build before they even approach us. So it's like we have to prove ourselves day in, day out. By the time they do approach us, it's like we don't need you now. So that's why the boss mentality is here when it comes to artistry, is that we have to prove all the time. It's like, okay, why should we stand behind you? Why should we put money behind? It's always a lot of questions that artists have to answer. Speaking from our artist side, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people speak from the outside or behind the scenes. I'm actually an artist on stage, and I have been put in a predicament where it's like, okay, you talented, you got the look, you got the this, but your numbers, but your this, your that. So by the time I'm invested, I'm putting all this money into myself, it's like, okay, once I get the recipe, I don't need you. So
But
that's
once
where
you
all
get the
it's like,
recipe-
okay, but it's real. Like it'll put a bitter taste in your mouth to be like, okay, once I do all this work, you want me to do all the work. You want me to do all the work. And so you could just say, okay, I had a part in developing it. You didn't have a part in developing me at all. You didn't even believe in me until it was popular to support me. Like, a lot of people don't support artists until it's popular to support. That's where the problem is at.
I was just going to say the whole process is democratized at this point. So it's almost like you take a PDOT. If PDOT has management, if PDOT has a social media campaign or a social media marketing company that's involved, the question comes down to what does a label do, or what can a label do for an artist at this point, in many cases that they can't do for themselves,
Right.
with funding, with investment, and with strategy.
Throw this in there, and I know Peak and can speak on this, and even Rod too. There has been forms of incubators before
Yeah.
in Michigan, but to your point, what happened is when they build and develop that talent, it got poached by either another major label or it got poached by another competitive place in this market. So just for a quick history, snapback, can P, Rod, and Hen kind of just share a couple parables from y'all time and being around when y'all seen those incubations take place?
I mean, the incubator situations that I've encountered, because there's a great deal of funding that's being put up front and a great deal of risk being put by particular companies or investment, it's not centralized towards Detroit hip hop. It's not central to hip hop. The Amplify Fellowship, for example, we just got done talking about it. That it's an incubator for artists to a degree, but it's rooted in community service. So a lot of what could be potentially talked about, or the content that's involved in Detroit hip hop, is something that we kind of stay away from a little bit because it's tied to the school district. Mm-hmm. It's tied to this company and that company that's funding dollars to be able to create like ambassador relationships with artists. So as an artist, you got to fit a certain niche. So saying all that to say, I think a lot of times incubator projects have a niche, they have agendas. It's not like you can take somebody in and just instantly just cultivate that person in particular. They have to be cultivated in a certain way to fit the framework of what that incubator is trying to accomplish. That's my experience.
You mind touching on Motown Accelerator and Don P and your experiences with them?
Yeah, the Motown thing was interesting. I'm trying to think, what was the artist that went the furthest out of that?
Oh, I remember what you're talking about.
Be Free was a part of that too.
Was Be Free? Somebody that stands out, and I think that might have been the Amplify, was Sam Austin.
Sam Austin, right.
It looked like that gave him a real big push. It's just crazy because, like you said, those incubator systems don't lean towards our Detroit sound. Like, Detroit, the popular music coming out of here is not something that corporate America necessarily wants to get in bed with. It just sends an image of something that they not trying to do. And I mean, Detroit done got it out the mud. Like, with y'all talking about the labels and all that stuff. Like, can
I say this one thing? Like, as a person, I'm a decision maker in a program.
Right.
And so I'm cognizant of who we bring to the table. And I think that if there are acts that apply themselves to those things that align themselves with what those companies are trying to attach, like for us, I would love to have somebody that's, an introspective artist that has the ability to collaborate across a lot of different areas and not just centrally focus around making that one particular sound. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing all the way.
No,
but it is one of those things where, it's difficult to take music that is exclusively celebrating negativity per se and be able to turn it into something that can be beneficial to on a number of different fronts. Let's just keep it real.
So tying that in locally, we've had people do their own version of Versus live since the Versus thing that became live. So what's y'all take on that? Like people adopting that here and celebrating our legends or celebrating artists of popular today, and then even what we've seen with just the live platform that's taking place with all the Verses that happened live this year and celebrating hip hop from recently, this past week we had Bone and 3-6 Mafia. Before that we had KRS and Big Daddy Kane. Obviously the Locks Dipset versus battle was monument. So what about that as far as current culture?
To me, in my opinion, and I think me and you, Brandon, spoke about this, we have some people here that, they could do verses. But when we start talking about 10, 20 records, how many of them really have that in their catalog? I mean, really 20 strong records. And the other side of that is, even if you got 20 records, them 20 records, are they really well known in the city of Detroit? Because we already know they can't be on a national step. I mean, I'm not saying nobody's capable of it, but I'm just saying when we talk about the local side of doing verses, just the local side of it, it's hard to pick out a bunch of cats that we can see fit into the same space and saying, okay, I know they got 20 strong records apiece. I just don't see it.
Real quick, I just want to say subjectively, I think that's something that the artists, nobody here has been honest with them about when we talk about what qualifies an impactful record or a hit record. I think that's very subjective, because even in the conversations that Hen was referring to, and I've had these with Rod and I've had these with P, does a hit only constitute for artists that might had radio play? Does a hit constitute for artists that had a record that lived in the streets at least 90 days? Is it all of the above?
It's all of the above.
Yeah,
Right, what I'm saying, but artists don't know.
They don't grab
shift. It's a
They
shift.
assume that because them and their people love the record, that's a record that qualifies them to do a versus.
Go ahead.
No, I think the artist knows it. Like, I don't want to give niggas that much credit. Like, you know if you got a monster on your hands,
Absolutely.
or if you just got something that's bubbling in the strip club. Now, if it's just bubbling in the strip club and you fine with that, that's cool. But like, there's a difference. But I look at a Detroit hit, and I'm just gonna step out there on a limb. I look at like a hit like Take Money to Make Money by Stretch Money.
Easy.
It's 10 years old, maybe even older, but it stood the test of time. When you put that record on, there's a certain feeling that it invokes today as it did when you first heard it. When you hear that, da-na-na-na-na, like that's a hit. But it's not a national hit.
But let's talk about the reason why that record had the impact and still has it.
The sample.
Exactly.
The sample.
That's what did it for the record at that particular time, because it went through the streets like wildfire. And
In regards to the Detroit verses, people are comparing it to the national scale. When in Detroit, artists don't come at artists because, oh, I got 20 songs, you got 20 songs. They're coming at you because they feel that they are better artists or make better music than you overall. It's not even about that. It's not about the 20 hits, the 10 hits. It's not about that. Because I've been approached a few times by unknowns, people I never heard of, and they just coming to me for the strength of that they feel like I'm a better artist than you altogether, or I make better music than you altogether.
That's what I was going to actually say,
that's
too, about
that's
Detroit.
what Detroit is ratting on. It's not about the national scale of the verses. Like, we got to get that out our head. You can't compare the Detroit to that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Here, they're doing it. I'm Mike, I'm Stretch Money. My music better than yours? No, my music better than yours. So we gonna go toe to toe. It don't matter how many people is in the crowd. They standing 10 toes on what they believe in as far as their music. That's exactly what I witnessed. I actually went to the Mike and Stretch Money. And what I can tell you about the Stretch did not want people to hold him to that Take Money to Make. He hates that.
Yeah.
He like, that is not it for me. Like, y'all got to understand that I make more music than that. Y'all keep holding me to that Take Money. He did not do that to the last. Like, he wouldn't even go into his hot lava bag. He like, I make my new music. He wouldn't do it.
Right.
He did not do any of those songs out the hot lava bag. I'm telling you, I was there. Mike
That's
went
not
all the
something-
way through there. You feel me? And he was trying to avoid even doing that song.
That's what Bone did.
He was trying to. He was really trying to avoid doing that song altogether. Like, look, I got way more than that. Y'all keep on saying that's all I got. I'm telling you, like, it's bigger than just 2020. No, I'm a better artist than you.
But that's the thing that I think we all learn from verses overall, is that we take things and we make it work for us. That is some purely Detroit shit that
Bingo.
we're talking about.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, when you think
Detroit.
about when verses first started at the beginning of the pandemic, where people were looking for an outlet. They used the technology to be able to make it happen. So it started with just the artists individually, and then you had the DJ thing that came about. Then performance became more of an issue. So I think that as we look towards working with and supporting artists, I think it's important to help them understand that everybody who got up there, regardless of the jokes and shit about people being drunk, regardless of this, that, and the third, those were all professional artists.
Yeah.
From Bow Wow.
Yeah.
They were professionally prepared,
Seasoned,
and ready. So you have to be able to do that to win on that stage. But I also feel P in that it comes down to like a battle situation in some, and I think that's why we find a lot of artists struggle, because going back to the way that things was done in the past, artists are not being prepared and A&R and driven towards having very strong performance. Those kind of they're not trained to create moments for people by being in their presence as a musician. And I think once we get back to that, then we can circle back and start having conversations about labels coming to the city and this, that, and the third. Because now everything is based around recorded, made media, you know, videos, stuff like that. But you still got to be able to turn the party out with your performance.
We at the end of the pod, and at the end, we always champion people that we see out here working. So I'm gonna run off the collective list. We already a little bit over time, but I'm gonna limit everybody to basically a minute to kind of speak your piece about anybody that you want to speak on this list, and or give an honorable mention that's not on this list. But this list was formed by survey, by committee. It was very democratic. Everyone here stands behind it. So we have Babyface Ray. Just, you know, give a round of applause on that one. Courtney Bell. Make a round of applause. We got Marv Wine.
Yeah. All right.
We got Stretch Money.
Fresh.
We gonna clap at the end for everybody. Let's clap at the end for everybody.
Okay. We got Fat Father.
Fat Father.
We got Charlamagne the God. We got Rocky Bad. We got GT. We got Baby Money. We got Snap Dogg, Risk Taker D-Boy, Little Mike, P Dot, 3269 Chaz, Dame Dot, Eastside Egg Roll, Nisha Nashay, and Polo Frost. So let's give it up for those numbers. All right. So I'm gonna go to my left so we can work our way around. But like I said, either take a minute to just share on any one of these artists, if you will, or give your honorable mention.
I really don't have nothing to say. I'm just blessed to be on the list because I've been working my ass off.
Facts.
All fucking year.
Facts.
All through the pandemic.
Facts.
So everybody who made this list, congratulations, because, you know, the grind is real, especially when the world was shut down. So, you know.
I'll just make my other one real quick. Fat Father. It's about experiences. It's about relationships. It's about telling the entire story for me, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, Fat Father presented himself amongst a lot of the other people we talked about as an authentic human being. While he was in the process of putting his music out, he lost 100 and some pounds and chronicled the whole thing on social media.
Now he
That's
just
the
father.
kind of thing, something like that, right?
He just father now.
Fit father now, right?
Right.
Dope on the mic, you know, foul mouth all them, give all them they props and they flowers. But taking us along that journey too is really what the modern age of the game is about. You know, if you just put out a record and it's nothing to attach yourself to from the experience, it come and go. But we all sat up and watched him from that area of the game. We watched him go through growth as a grown ass man, and so I wanted to give him props for that.
Wow.
Period.
I'm a huge fan of Fit Father, the whole middle finger music movement. Shout out to Pat. Shout out to Pat 313. I already talked to him. We're gonna have him on next year. But the artist for me that did not make the list, but I'm a huge fan and I will champion for him, is my man Dave Hill. Dave Hill has put out music.
Thank you for sending me the music, Jay.
Yeah, Dave Hill has put out projects, but they meant something. You know, I look at artists, sometimes they oversaturate or they don't give you enough. I feel like that 777 Collective and the projects that he put out were quality projects, and it was just enough music. They put on their own show at El Club, pretty much held a residency at Minnie's, and the music is quality and it's consistent. Dave is a lyricist, and I appreciate lyrics when it comes to artists. And we've had the opportunity to sit down and talk to him and have a conversation. He's a good dude, genuine dude, and, you know, it was a connection there. I'm a huge fan of Dave Hill and what he's doing. I really look forward to seeing what they continue to do in the future.
I fully support that, and kind of piggybacking. The one I'm putting on this list is Ja'Cory Davis, who not necessarily a rapper. He DJ Khaled 3 different projects from 7-7 Management. So the my first job. He just released a sophomore joint. And matter of fact, he just did a project.
The Phil Jackson project.
The Phil Jackson. He just did a project with Early Mac too. You know what I'm saying? Their last Early Mac project was through them. That's the management company, but they got a whole collective, and they took 2021 by storm with some good content, man. So shout out to them. I'm fully supporting their movement.
All right, for me, of course, I'm a little biased to the situation because of my relationships, but P-Dot 3269, of course, you know, what can I say? We've been out on the road. We done seen the countryside a little bit, you know what I mean? And thoroughly impressed with the work that's been going on that side of it.
Absolutely.
I mad respect for Fat Father. That's one of my guys. We go back 100 years. I don't really have an honorable mention. What I'll say is I'm thrilled. I'm actually thrilled at the amount of artists that we have that's really bubbling out of the city. Like, it's too many of them to even put it in our honorable mention category for me.
Facts.
And to say that one over the other, I'd be lying, because again, the panel I sat in early last week, I'm just like, I can't even wait till we get into the year. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in that space right now. I'm thinking about the first quarter and how I want to attack that and what I would like to do for those particular artists. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at with it. We go, you know what I mean? I'm gonna keep moving. The dot gang, we gonna keep working. I mean, it's what it is for me.
Let's see. I love watching what Stretch Money has been doing to keep himself relevant. Like, he was brought up when we talked about the takes money to make money, and that brother and his rebel gang, they been releasing. You know, y'all been releasing, he been releasing. I love what he doing. I love he touching different things. He had that hip hop project with the Chinese theme and all that. That was dope. And he do his street stuff. Some other people that I'm really feeling, I'm a fan of Tiny Jag. I know she got some wild music. Crimson Alchemist, another lady rapper out here. She been putting in work. Ty Ferris on the hip hop tip.
Absolutely.
He's been busy. And I love he got his business together too. You know, the merch, the whole package. That brother's
That's what you want.
out there grinding. Yeah, I mean, I use him as an example all the time. You know, as far as them servicing DJs, servicing blogs. Like, a lot of these artists are forgetting, you know, the people that they can touch to get that help. They just
low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, they just expect us to see they posts and go about, man, I see 1 million posts.
I could see, I ain't even paying attention to
Yeah, yeah, I'm not. And I guess I'll finally wrap that up with two. I'm really admiring what I'm seeing Crowd Freak doing for the Detroit scene and the younger generation, and the products with events that he's putting out, like that Backwoods and Bonfire, man. I can remember when it started in that backyard, and now it's on some whole other tip. So I love seeing what's going on over there. And then my family, Middle Finger Music, with Foul Mouth, and like you said, Pat 313, they've been doing some dope shit as far as hip hop is concerned. That boom bap, you know, that classic stuff, man, they really got some stuff on lock over there, and a lot around the country is starting to pay attention to them. So that's just a handful of people I'm thinking about.
That list, since we all came together with that's like a really accurate depiction, but I'm gonna have to come with some honorable mentions. I'm gonna come with two. I'm gonna come with one for my brother and one for me. And the first one is Young Ra. He from Ipsy. He been
working for years,
keeping it moving, right? And of course, you can't spell Detroit without the I. So I'm gonna have to say Rudy, LOM Rudy. He talked that street talk like no other nigga moving right now. He just dropped a project called Chemistry with him and K Money Beats. A lot of the Detroit sound is from K Money and P Gutter, and him and they got a collab called Chemistry, and that shit is cold. So them are honorable mentions with Young Rod from Ipsy and LOM Rudy from the town.
So mine's, and I'm gonna do my sign off so we can all do our sign offs and close out. So again, thank you all for coming out. I love y'all brothers for real. I mean, y'all all been with me through ups and downs in music, ups and downs in life. So I don't take y'all time lightly. So thank you for supporting the vision.
You didn't bring no lunch.
Man,
The real indicator.
You always hungry, man. I got you. If anybody really want to eat after we leave here, lunch is on me. Lunch is on me. That's my favorite thing to do. But seriously though, thank y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. Y'all all in one way or another have supported us with the whole Dot Game movement. So much love to that. I don't really want to say honorable mention, but this is just people that was important to me over the last couple years, especially this year. One was Mike. The Indictment Music Project, I selected that last year as part of the top 20, and just watching his comeback, coming home and getting busy out here and being active. The music that he makes is real for me because I was in those situations. I was in that situation in 2018 fighting for my life and fighting some charges that could have took me away from everybody. And so I understand what that was going through, being in the courtroom and the judge has control over what happens to you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So that whole project really touched me. On the other side, Bodie James, Rest in Heaven, Marty Baby, whole 50 Zone, my whole family over there. But I spent a lot of time around Bodie over these last few years. So just seeing what Bodie doing with the Griselda look, having the opportunity to meet Benny the Butcher here recently and just being around that energy, that's everything but inspirational for me. And I'm grateful to Bodie and the family for that and putting that play together for me. So that's like I said, it ain't really an honorable mention, but those are my couple guys right there that's been with me in the trenches. So Mike, and shout out Bodie James. So it's at GrindLife313 on all social media, www.westillrise.org for ASIR Consulting, YouTube. You can follow us, get at us. D-Boy Sound for 3269 Chives. Doc gonna do hers, but just want to hold down for the team. We just signing up.
Rod Wallace, follow me at Where Is Wallace. You can follow me at Project X Plugin. You can also follow the Amplify Project at Amplify Washtenaw. Shouts out to the whole Formula 7314, Buff One, True Classic, DJ TJ, and yeah, we out here.
Yo, it's your man Dame, 3_313. You can follow me on the IG and the Twitter machine. You at me, I will talk back. So watch how you talk to me. When you see the blue and the black, you know where the fuck you at. I represent Shoptalk Podcast Studio. The numbers don't lie. Me and Jay doing big fucking numbers.
Message.
The flagship shows at Shoptalk Studio do big fucking numbers.
Message.
So if you want to get if you're looking for somewhere to get your podcast hot, if you're looking for, trying to get your shit popping, we the only place to be. If you mention podcasts in the city of Detroit and you don't mention our names, you're disrespecting yourself. Shoptalk Podcast Studios.
That's a fact. A literal fact. Urban podcasts come together because specifically for niggas in this room, we created Urban Podcast Month back in 2018, and 142 different podcasts in the city that came through the blue and the black. So when you see the blue and the black, you know you at Shoptalk Podcast Studio. Book some time. Also follow me on all social media, J Johnson 313. Follow Shoptalk Podcast. Everything Shoptalk Podcast. We out. Well, not we, but we.
DJ Hen House, Troy TNA DJs, Next Level DJs. You can follow me on all social media at DJ Hen House. A little side note, be on the lookout for my podcast getting ready to happen.
Okay.
All right.
The Good Dope Podcast.
The good dope.
Sells itself.
Sells
When the
itself.
dope is good, it sells itself. So for those of y'all who know me, y'all know I've been saying that for up 10 years. Well, I'm bringing it into fruition
That's
starting the first of the
gospel.
year. And,
Okay.
you know, I might still be looking for that home to bring my podcast to.
The blue and the black.
You know
Take
what I'm
care of
saying? If we can figure it out, we can make it happen.
We'll
But-
take good care of you up over here. Hen House. Just come on.
Yeah, that's all
The
I'm
door's
saying.
open.
That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to find a home where everybody gonna get behind the situation and we gonna really make it big. Cause I mean, we just in that space now, and I can't play with it because I'm talking about the national artists as well as the local independents and all of that. So I want to have that space going. But music wise, if y'all still out there, y'all working, y'all need something, please reach out to me, DJ Hen House 01 at gmail.com. Once again, DJ Hen House 01 at gmail.com. Shout out to my family out in Highland Park. We definitely need to talk. They got a school situation they want to bring some music to, Rod. So we got some stuff we can pull together on that. So definitely, I appreciate y'all coming out too. I appreciate support. I'm glad to be sitting at the table with some of these guys. You know what I mean? It's a pleasure.
Definitely a blessing to be here. Uncle P, DetroitRap.com. You can find us on IG at DetroitRap. You can find me on Twitter at Uncle P. Look for the podcast since everybody making their introductions.
You dig?
It's been a year in the making. It's been a crazy year, and I couldn't get settled to get my studio together. But These Are the Breaks podcast. Pretty much, I felt like I'm too old to be sitting up in bullfrogs and
That part.
shit like that.
That part.
But I still love breaking great music.
That part.
And that's what you can expect from the These Are the Breaks podcast.
Okay.
You know, quick little 5-10 minute interviews showing the video. It's going to be a nice visually appealing thing there. So shout out Pro Sound Media. You can holler at us, full consulting agency, publishing worldwide, Detroit Digital, distribution arm. Get at us, DetroitRap.com.
What's going on? You know, AJ, representing the Connected Experience. More importantly, the College of Hip Hop. Follow us on Instagram at the College of Hip Hop, at TCE Pod. On Twitter, because I'm still on Twitter, laughing at these motherfuckers talking stupid, getting all emotionally involved with stuff. But more importantly, as always, I want for my brother what I want for myself.
Amen.
Peace.
That part.
All right, everybody. I just want to say, you know what I'm saying? I'm very appreciative of everybody that's sitting around the table today. You all have played a major part in the growth and the grind of me and 3269chaz.gang. So I just want to speak for my brother. He's not here. I'm pretty sure he feels the same way. Thank y'all for everything. Also, you know, I just want to tell y'all to follow me, P.Music, PDOTMUSIC on Instagram. I do talk back, so y'all talk to me. Follow me on Facebook, Pamela P.Willis. I do follow back. And make sure y'all tap in with us because we got something great coming on. So I heard a rumor that the awards will be coming back. Is that factual?
Ooh. Dun, dun, dun.
We got a vote?
Find that next week on Dragon Ball Z.
That is to be continued. But real talk though, today was a tester, so some of the topics we discussed today, some of the artists we champion, continue working hard, myself and P and the committee that we're building, which you may see some of these faces on the committee. We back in the chop house, so that's to be continued.